Hello, everyone. This is Ed Breniger, and welcome to the Eddie Network podcast. My guest today is Whitney McDuff, a young woman who I've known for quite a few years, worked with her some, and I think she's a remarkable promoter of talent and of people's expression of their lives. And so, Whitney, I'm glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are and what you do and why you do it.
Oh, thank you for having me, Ed. I'm really glad that we've gotten to connect on the podcast, and I'm excited to talk to you about everything that's going on. So, I'm Whitney McDuff. I am known as a public speaker secret weapon, and I help people get visible, credible, and profitable through public speaking and PR. But the reality behind that is I love storytelling. I'm also a children's book author and a poet and all the things, but what I'm really, really passionate about in my life is helping people get their stories into the world. And I fundamentally believe that if you have a story or a skill set that can change someone's life, I think it is your obligation to share that thing. And the reason that people don't is typically one of two things, sometimes both, but they either lack the confidence or they lack the roadmap. And whatever in this incredible universe put me together made me really great and really passionate about providing that for people. So, I get to meet people across all different industries, all different talent sets, all different backgrounds and stories. And what I really love doing is helping package that in a way that can get it to people across the world and also help the clients identify what the real heart of their story is. I often see that people are like, oh, know, I don't, nobody's going to want to hear that. Nobody's going to want to go into
Oh,
this. And yeah, we tend to like think that we're boring because we're inside the bottle, but people are inherently fascinating. And the sum of our experiences and knowledge can really, really help change someone else's life. We hear that quote, your pain and what you've been through can be a roadmap for someone else. And so it makes me so happy to see people that have been through bad and good experiences and education or whatever it may be, to be able to capture that in a way that impacts others and allows us to leave a legacy, right? I mean, that's what legacy really is, helping people navigate this world and leaving it better than we found it. So I love this work with all my heart and soul. I love the people I work with, and it's just fun.
so when I published the book that we worked on, which is the
Uh-huh.
Soul of Impact. Thank you for your help. And I spent a year traveling around doing book events. People would come up to me at a book table and they say, I'd like to write a book. And I say, well, don't, just write. So,
Mhm.
but when you hear someone say that I have
Mhm.
a book to write or a story to tell, but they're uncertain about that, what is the first thing you do with them to bring them into and put them in a position where they can then imagine where all this can go?
Mhm. So I love to hear everything that's going on, including why they haven't started yet. Because typically what happens with people is I've had a book idea for 10 years, or I've wanted to speak on this my whole life, or I always hear at parties that I should be a speaker, or I want to be on TV, or whatever it is. Okay, why hasn't that happened to this point? Because that's really indicative of what's going on. And typically it's imposter syndrome. And I want to invite everyone to have a different view on this. I had a wonderful client and mentor and friend reposition imposter syndrome for me, and it completely changed my life, right? So imposter syndrome typically is when you don't feel worthy of being in the room, or you don't feel worthy of doing this thing, or you don't feel like you're smart enough or know enough. And we try to avoid that feeling, right? We don't want to be uncomfortable. And she said to me one day, her name's Jen Koken, I love her. She said, Whitney, if you're not constantly feeling imposter syndrome, it's because you're not playing big enough. And that completely changed my life. I went from avoiding those rooms and those people because I didn't feel like I was quite there, didn't know enough. Who am I to teach on this? Who am I? Who are they going to listen to? to seeking those rooms out, because I knew when I got uncomfortable, that means I was about to grow and I was starting to play at a level. And guess what? Every single time I walked into the room, every single time I had the conversation that was uncomfortable, I met the moment.
I
And
know.
reaching your full potential is just a series of meeting these moments every time you're met with them. But it completely reorged how I thought about that uncomfortable feeling.
2 weeks ago, I walked from my
Uh-huh.
kitchen with a fresh cup of coffee in through this door to sit down right here to have an interview with someone. And that is exactly what went through my mind. It says, oh no, this is not going to work out. This is not going to be good. I'm not going to be able to make this work. And it's
Mm-hmm.
exactly that is so true. And
Yep.
I want you to say again what your friend told you, because I think we need to hear that in really explicit words.
Yeah, I wish I could just wear it on a t-shirt. But she said, if you're not constantly feeling imposter syndrome, it's because you're not playing big enough.
Mm.
And that should realign the conversations you're having, the opportunities that you're seeking out. But I paint that picture for them. We go through, it's always imposter syndrome that makes people hesitate, right? It's always fear.
Yeah. Are you
So then we
listening
paint the
out there?
picture.
Listen, listen. This is Whitney's genius coming through.
So then we
It's
paint the
it's really
picture.
true.
Okay, if we knew the path and we could get out of our own head, what would your life look like? And then we work backwards from that North Star and we build the plan and we go for it. The reality is there's 8 billion people in this world. There is a group of people that need your skill set, that need your expertise, that need your life experience. You can help people, and everyone, the people that I work with genuinely want to positively impact lives. Is there a place for people that want vanity brands and they're obsessed with 3 million followers and all that? Sure. That place is not with me. The people that I want to work with want to wake up in the morning, be like, oh, I made a difference. And I promise, if you are thinking in your gut, you don't have to work with me. I just want everybody that is listening to this to know, if you wake up and you're like, I know there's more, I know I should be doing something, this is what you need to do. You need to find somebody in your friend group, online, whoever who is doing what you want to be doing, and you need to pick up the phone and you need to ask them what they've done, because successful people want to help other people and we are too afraid to pick up the phone and take the next right step. There's a really great analogy about, if I have to drive across the country at night, my headlights only get 50 feet. I don't have to see the whole path to the other side of the country. All I have to do is get that next 50 feet and it keeps on. But we get caught up in trying to figure out the how to the end game, so we don't even start. If you will just make these small steps every day, you don't have to have all the answers, but I promise the answers will lay themselves before you if you just take these micro steps. And that's what we do. We build a path and we take the steps and go. But for people who need that like sign, oh, I need to pick up the phone and I need to make this move or whatever, like this is your sign. You are here for a purpose. And that thing that you're hearing inside, call it God, your intuition, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, like that is tapping for a reason. You are meant to fulfill what you're here for. Like pick up the phone, pick up a book, whatever it is, just take a step.
So one of the things that comes from this is the creation of a story.
Mm-hmm.
What does a story look like to you? What does that look like?
So typically with the people that I work with, when we are crafting the story and the talking points and all of this stuff, typically, not all the time, but the vast majority of the time, the person that you are most likely to help is who you were at the beginning of your journey. And here's the other thing I want to say that taps into imposter syndrome.
Mm.
We think that we have to be like the biggest, best, greatest thing to be worthy of sharing our story with others. And let me tell you something that I hope everybody remembers. If I want to learn to play golf, I'm absolutely terrible at golf. Okay. If I want to learn to play golf, I'm not calling and hiring Tiger Woods. I'm calling the golf pro at my local pro shop because he is better than I am and can help get me to the next step. And what we do to ourselves is we think, I'm not worthy of sharing this information or this story because I'm not the Tiger Woods of my experience or industry or whatever. You
Mm.
don't have to be. You have to be willing to help people that are a step below and move with that. And so our own head games get in our way so often. Like, you don't have to be Tiger. You can share your story and really help lives. Like, we need to get out of our own way and just start taking steps forward. We're all guilty of it. But in your question, crafting the story, we start
Yeah.
there. Who were you at the beginning of this? Who did you need at the beginning of this? And that's how we mold the information, because we had the opportunity to go back and save who we once were, right? So we start that way and build an arc from there.
So I heard something within the past couple of days about the way to identify who the audience. We talked a little bit before we went on the show about the audience for this story or for our expression of ourselves. And I thought it was really interesting because they were going against the grain of suggesting you need to look at this broad mass of people and select one large group out of that, and that's who you want to appeal to. No, they were saying you want to go for the smallest segment of that population, because if you can sell it to them, then it'll start from there. What do you think of that?
You know, there's a reason that there's a phrase, the riches are in the niches. With the access that we have globally to everyone, even quote, small on small section, you know, that could be 100,000 people, depending on what the niche is. I do think in regards to that, that the only way to know is to test the content. Like, people will tell you what they're interested in and what they need. Like, you need to be in a constant loop of providing value. And when you start doing that and listening to the feedback, listen to questions, we too often create content assuming what people want, and we fail to ask them. And we need to be asking questions all the time. Like, people will go, I'll meet people, they're like, I've been creating content for 6 years, you know, nothing, it's landing flat. Like, did you ever ask anybody who you're friends with or following, like, what they want to know about your expertise? Like, no, because we're too afraid to hear feedback. Feedback is awesome. Like, ask the audience, what do you struggle with the most in XYZ? And start creating content from there. Go on Google, y'all. Go on Google in your genre and say, let's say I'm a horseback riding expert. What are the top questions around horseback riding? Those top 10 things that Google pops up, that's a great place to start on content, because people are in live time asking those questions. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. But yes, I believe that getting very specific is helpful, because those are going to be your passionate, engaged followers, right?
Yes. It's an interesting thing. So almost all of this is counterintuitive from what we've done.
Right.
And the counterintuitive is go against the grain, go against your own feelings, get out of your head, get into your heart. I mean, it's walk out, go to the grocery store and talk to everyone you meet. Go talk to someone saying, I'm working on a book. What do you think? Let me ask you one question. And you say, what's your greatest challenge with, let's say you're going to write a book about children. What's your greatest challenge with your child? What's your greatest challenge with your spouse? You know, and just to ask those questions, you know, that's what I've learned. We have a little distillery down the street here, you know, and I go there every Friday and Saturday night, and everybody that walks through the door, I go and introduce myself to, and I have a conversation with, because
awesome.
I want to talk to them. I'm doing a cold call with them in that place, and I want to ask them, who are you and what is it that you do? I'll give you one example. So this couple walks in, and they sit down, and I'll go over and say, hi, I'm Ed, and and I don't say anything more than that. I just, and so who are y'all? And who are you? And they said, well, we have a farm here in Wilkes County. And I said, that's great. So I said, well, what did y'all do before you bought your farm? And both had been in corporate work. And then they said, so what do you do? I said, well, I'm a leadership guy, and I wrote this book called Circle of Impact. And his wife goes, Circle of Impact, Circle of Impact. I've heard of that. Oh, my boss gave me that book. You see, there's no telling what you're going to find out by asking people questions and introducing yourselves to you. And you may feel that, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't do that. Well, you can do that if you are willing to go do that. And if you've asked them about their story, then it will tell you what your story is.
Yeah, I love that. And that reminds me of one of the favorite quotes that I have and something that I live by. Jesse Itzler is an incredible keynote speaker, and just really strongly encourage everyone to follow him on social media. I mean, he's truly living life. That's Sarah Blakely's husband, the founder of Spanx. But he says all the time, and I believe this with all my soul, I am a product of this, that you are one idea, one introduction, and one referral away from an entirely different life. And the way that you get there is by opening yourself up to opportunities like that, to have the conversation that may be a life-changing idea, or the introduction that you would have never known if you'd not had the courage to sit down with that person. And I mean, in your case, specifically that story, you got to see part of your impact. A lot of our impact we never get to see. And so that's a nice moment for you, right?
The fun thing was asking her, well, have you read it? She says, oh.
Ah,
I
give
said,
her
well,
a little quiz.
go read it and then let's talk about it, and yeah, it is funny. So if people want to work with you or want to just even have a conversation with you, that this is tickling something within them that says, this sounds authentic for me, and it sounds like I need to take a step in this direction. How do they approach you in a way that allows you all to start a relationship?
Yeah, so you can find me anywhere online at Whitney McDuff, whitneymcduff.com. I'm Whitney McDuff on all socials. You can reach out to me there. I'm also the co-founder of the Witter Group, wittergroupllc.com, that has a comprehensive list of everything that I'm involved in. But, whether you work with me or not, I really, really want to encourage everybody to chase that thing and listen to that voice. That is your intuition talking, and your intuition is your greatest gift. Listen to that thing and just make the next tiny step. You don't have to see the whole road. You just need to see the 50 feet in front of you.
That is really true. That is really true. Well, Whitney, this has been fantastic. I've been looking forward to talking with you. It's been a long time since we last had a conversation, and this has not been disappointing. And I'm grateful for the success that you've had, and the persona that you have created. And I know it's authentic, so it's not like this is some kind of fake thing. It's really an authentic persona of someone who really cares about people, and it really comes through in all the places that you can be found online. So I congratulate you.
I appreciate that.
I'm happy for you and your family. And so people, if you're thinking that this may be tickling something within you that you need to do something about, let me suggest you start by just leaving a comment, leave a question, or just say, I'll really like this, or I'd like to know more. And if you do, then we'll make sure that you have a way to find out more, and we can help you make that next step, as we all have to make that next step.
Can I say one more quick thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
If y'all have specific questions for me, I love talking to people. I'm Whitney at whitneymcduff.com. Super easy to find. But I want to shift a mindset quickly for a lot of people that I see over and over and over again. They're like, oh, I really feel like I'm being called to do this, but I don't know. It feels like egotistical, and I'm a humble person, and I don't want to do all that. Y'all, at the end of the day, you cannot help people that don't know what you do. And I know that you want to help people. And part of that call is being able to reach them. So if you are sitting with that right now, like, oh, that idea just like makes me insane. I can't get public. Yes, you can, because your why in helping people has got to be bigger than the fear of some internet troll and keyboard cowboy. Like, yes, you can. So
Thank
just
you.
shift that mindset. You cannot help people who don't know what you do. This is not an ego thing. It's about helping people who need access to your information.
This is truth. If there is no other truth out there, this is the only truth there is, because you are in charge of your life and you get to make the decisions and you get to make the steps forward to become the person that maybe you don't even know is possible. But I guarantee you, and I think Whitney would agree with this, it does take the first step to begin the process. So I'm coming back to, if you have a notion that you want to have a conversation about this, and even writing a note to Whitney at whitneymcduff.com is too much for you, leave a note in the comments and we'll be back in touch with you. That'll make it simple. And that is the first step that you will need to take to maybe become the person that you have always dreamed of being. But all these obstacles stand in the way that are all self-imposed. Thank you, Whitney, for being with us. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Eddie Network podcast. Please like and subscribe, and let's meet again next time to hear someone else that is going to bring information to you that will be helpful to you. And I thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.